Hi there. I'm Skaggy. I'm a practicing witch and a professional tarot nerd. I'm glad you're here. Today, we're going to take a look at another of my Wheel of the Year spreads, the Spring Equinox spread. If you'd like to take a walk with me through the Wheel of the Year, you'll find a link to my video on that in the description below. The Spring Equinox occurs in the Northern Hemisphere around March 21st and marks the start of, well, spring. This spread covers the season beginning with Imbolc around February 2nd until the Spring Equinox. Traditionally, the Wheel of the Year is associated with astronomical and, by association, astrological events. And these events are inextricably tied to a generalized agricultural calendar. When thinking about this spread, I asked myself if the Spring Equinox is simply the mirror image of the autumn equinox as they occur exactly opposite one another on the wheel. So I began a rough sketch to help me visualize it. Maybe my scattered old brain could make sense of a picture, but sadly, I'm not much of an artist. Even stick figures are troublesome for me. But my grade schoolish efforts were useful, and they really helped me visualize the entirety of the wheel. While we do have mirrored aspects shown on the Wheel of the Year, each point of the wheel does have its own unique qualities, its own special energy. Both equinoxes are liminal times, passages in the flow of energy from one state to the next. As a time of equal light and dark, they are the passages between those states. They are doorways. The spring equinox is a time of sowing seeds, of planting. Since the winter solstice, light has been increasing, bringing with it the energy from which all life on Earth springs, and from that also spring the hopes and dreams of new beginnings. I've designed dozens of spreads over the years and decided to see if any of my previous work might be relevant. Originally developed in 2021 as the Plantain spread, the ideas here fit the energies of the spring equinox nicely. I decided to focus less on the liminality of the spring equinox with this spread and more on traditional associations. Traditional, that is, in many modern expressions of neo-paganism, witchcraft, and Wicca. The world is warming as we approach the spring equinox, and all that was lying asleep during the cold of the winter is beginning to awaken. Each seed holds the promise of growth, and from even a humble acorn, a mighty oak might grow. Beginning around Samhain, the fallow time of the year is a time of preparation and introspection. But as spring approaches, it's time to plant the seeds of our future works in the soil we've prepared. In this spread, we can find some guidance to help us grow our hopes and dreams. Card 1 shows us the energy at the start of the spring equinox season and represents the seeds we wish to grow, whether it's life changes or future projects, just hopes or some dreams. Card 2 is metaphoric soil. It represents the preparations we have made or haven't made for future growth. Card 3 is the sunshine of energizing influences. This is outside influences which help our planted seeds grow, and it could be help from others in our lives or from spirit itself, whatever that means for you. Card 4 is the rain that falls into each of our lives, whether it's a little bit or a lot. Water is associated with our emotions, and this rain shows us how our own emotions are influencing our growth. Card 5 shows us challenges which we can convert into advantages. It's metaphoric organic fertilizer. And when life dumps on us, we can either stink or fertilize. Card 6 demonstrates the energy at the end of the spring equinox season and can show us how the seeds we've planted at the start of the season have grown, or haven't, as the case may be. Today, I'll be using the Mucha tarot. I chose this deck because the imagery and colors used in the deck just feel kind of springy to me. Now, at first, I was going to use the Druidcraft Tarot for the same reason, but check this out. Look at the size of these cards. They're freaking huge. They're so big, I couldn't even get them on my little table here once I was laying them out. But I decided to show you this deck anyway to illustrate something that might be helpful for you. Now, I've shuffled a lot of tarot decks in my time, and I've got rather gorilla-sized hands, and I still have trouble shuffling this big old deck. When we have a deck that just feels too big to shuffle, we have to adapt, right? So if I figured if I shuffled it this way, it works out pretty good. Takes some practice, but you can also try like shuffling them like that. That takes a lot more time to get a good shuffle, but you have to find the way that works best for you. Now, the Druidcraft Tarot deck, though, is available in more traditional and hence smaller card sizes. So let's take a look at that spread in action. Normally when I'm doing these kinds of videos, I'm kind of doing a general reading, all right? And but today I thought I would ask a specific question. And the question that I'm using today is related to this, the YouTube thing, the YouTube channel. And with our first card here, that's, the seeds to plant. What are we going to do to at the beginning of this equinox season? And we see our Two of Swords reversed. Bakara Wintner in WTF's Tarot describes this card as the Shut Up and Let Me Think card. And we kind of get that vibe out of that. And the twos are often about decisions or choices. And here we can see she's blindfolded. She's really thinking hard, right? But it's a reversed card. So what's that mean? What kind of seed is that? And well, that's that decision. It's the decision that I made back before Yule, before the winter solstice, to start doing this stuff. So now we're going from the decision-making process to taking action. And that tells me that seed to plant is continued action. The swords are air cards, and that's how we think about things, how we perceive things. But something that's interesting too is right here we have a sort of really looks like a solar eclipse, right? That moon is coming in and covering up the sun. Well, the moon is associated with that inner kind of stuff, our spiritual side, our intuitive side. So that tells me that the intuition to do this stuff may have been a positive thing. And the soil that we're going to plant this in with our supporting foundations is our Queen of Wands. Wands is a fire element, and that's passion and willpower. And in the way that I read, I associate the queens with water. That's an emotional side of things. And when I think of those two things kind of combined, the water of fire, I get a sort of creative vibe. So perhaps that soil that I'm planting this in is my creative side. Seems like a good foundation for doing a creative endeavor. The sunshine, the energizing influences, this is stuff coming in from the outside. We might look at this card and go, Eight of Wands reversed. That's no energy. Well, that is how it comes across sometimes. But in this deck, our little friend here seems that she might be very confused. All this energy coming and it's kind of startling. As an outside influence, it seems to imply being able to focus energy, being able to concentrate all of those disparate energetic influences and focus it on a task or a project. With the rain, the emotional influences, we have the World card. And the World card a lot of times comes across as a card of completion. One of the things I like to point out to folks is many of these cards will have these 4 symbols here in one way or another. And those are, one way of interpreting those would be with taking a look at the elements themselves. We have earth and fire and air and water. There are astrological associations in there. But the way that I'm interpreting this right now is that emotional side, which is also our spiritual and intuitive side. The stuff coming in is perhaps my guides and allies are there with me. Maybe I've got their support in this endeavor. And that those positive problems, the manure that a mite can use to fertilize this stuff. We have the King of Cups. Cups is a water thing. Again, we've got emotion and spirituality and intuition. And the kings, as I interpret them, are earth. Typically steady and stable, grounded. Well, that seems like a positive, right? So how is that crap? Well, maybe this is the way to manage my own emotional crap, my own anxiety and fears about doing this and putting myself out in the world this way. And I manage that in a sort of King of Cups kind of way, where I do the things and I move on. I accept that and use that to help me grow this. Instead of being static and I got this, it's a more water-like approach where I'm going with the flow of things and I'm adjusting as I go, learning new tricks along the way. But up here we get this Sun card reversed. Now the Sun, if it were upright here, it would be like, oh, great, everything's going to go peachy keen. But as a reversed card, that can indicate problems. Well, then why bother to do any of this if it's all going to turn out for naught anyway? Sometimes with that outcome card or that energy at the end of the season, in this case card, what that card can be showing us is the stuff that can come about for us and the place we might be if we're not applying the lessons the other cards are trying to teach us. If I don't manage that anxiety, it can cause problems. If I don't focus, all of those energies coming around can cause problems. And if I don't allow for those emotional things to work their way through, it can cause problems. What I do with a lot of clients is I don't believe in no-win situations. I really don't. So I will sometimes draw an alternate ending card, a card that lets us take a look at the good that can come if we do manage these things well. Right? If we do control and focus, if we do work through the problems, then we have an alternate ending. And in this case, that alternate ending is the Fool. Well, does that mean that, well, no matter what, it's a foolish thing? No, not at all. The way that I read the Fool card is, it's got that sense of adventure. It's setting out. I don't know what's going to be over there, but I'm gonna go anyway. This is an adventure. The Fool is also the blank slate. The Fool is ready to learn. May take some time, and there may be some pitfalls along the way. But if we listen to our friend, the Fool's dog in this case, if we listen to our friend, maybe we won't step off those cliffs. I often see the dog in the Fool card as a guide or an ally that is, there to make sure we don't do the truly stupid things. So summing this up, made some decisions. There's a lot of opportunity for both success and failure. But I also see this as a very important learning experience that can help me bring all of these things together. Now, does this spread tell me that I'm going to be a wild success? And no, it doesn't. But it tells me that as far as journeys go, that this can be a positive part of mine. And there you have the Spring Equinox spread. Thank you so much for spending some of your time with me today. If you've enjoyed that time, please like, subscribe, share, comment. I'm Skaji. Safe journey.